Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first ever live stream customer success this 2023. This is a session where we feature trailblazing customers doing incredible things to improve the customer experience and actually make a difference in the world. I'm Pauline, I'm the founder and managing director of AFDigital, and I'm very delighted to introduce to you our guest for today, one of our esteemed clients, Emma Rogers from Open Doors. Hello, Emma. Can you please introduce yourself and share more about your incredible mission?
Thanks, Pauline. I'm so glad to be here today and share, some of my experience with Open Doors and with AFDigital. So I work for an organisation called Open Doors. I've been with Open Doors for about 10 years. 10 years on Saturday, so that's exciting.
Congratulations!
Long service leave to look forward to. So our organisation helps persecuted Christians. So we've been around for about 70 years, and our mission is to the 360 million Christians who face persecution for their faith. So we work in around 70 different countries around the world, partly in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. We partner with local churches and local organizations, and honestly, the work on the ground looks different in every single country and every community. We go in and we work with the local church or the local organization, and we ask them, what are their community's needs? What do you guys need to help you thrive? And so, from my experience, I visited the field, and I was able to, in the Middle East, visit people who had been given microloans, so a small amount of money to start up a business. So I visited a bakery, a restaurant, and a sewing factory. And so it's all people who had to flee for their lives from ISIS back mid-2010s. And we'd partnered alongside them to help them, have a fresh start. So looks different in every country, but our aim is to help people thrive. So very glad to be here. And my role specifically is our digital director. So I basically look after our channel strategies, all of the digital channel strategies, and looking after what our campaigns look like on those channels and how can we increase, our personalization and segmentation across all of our channels. So,
That's unbelievable. Basically, in summary, you're just existing to help people in any way possible, in any capacity. And no wonder you've stayed there for 10 years because it's such a soul enriching, job, right? And you've got a very important role to play as well. Thank you. So I'm very excited to dive in terms of, what work did you do? So how did you guys started in your digital transformation journey? Can you kind of like share a little bit from the beginning?
Yeah, sure. It has been quite a journey. I will admit. I remember it was about 5-6 years ago, we started having the conversation about changing CRMs, and we moved to Salesforce. Part of that conversation, of course, was what will we do with our email marketing, and we decided to get Marketing Cloud, which is great. And so we started working with AFDigital 5 years ago. We met with Paul from your team, and you set up our instance. I remember you created like our first journey. But what happened, as probably if anyone out there isn't a non-for-profit, you will understand this reality, is that we kind of just let it fall aside. Like anyone who's worked in a charity might know the feeling of being very time poor and wearing multiple hats. You might be sending the emails, but also writing copy and also IT support and whatever else. So you just don't have a lot of time to really invest in growing something like Marketing Cloud, the platform. We just kind of did a lot of email blasts, kind of continued the same strategy that we had before Marketing Cloud. And it wasn't really until the pandemic when us, like a lot of other organizations, kind of had to pivot. Everything was moving online. There was a lot of uncertainty. A lot of charities like us rely on print. Print channel as a strategy to get donations, and there was uncertainty with the mail and what the future looked like. And so for us, it really forced us to think we need to use Marketing Cloud, to its full potential, or at least a step closer to that. So we reached out to you guys last year, I think it was last year, to help us create a really specific email journey to help with that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's typical for not honestly not just for NFP, but I could understand it better for NFP that you want to allocate your funds in terms of the mission, right? So there's this like balance, like you want to be able to grow and be able to scale, and you've got this incredible tool. We always call it from our world, like we say, like you've got a Ferrari, you're not, maximizing all of its horsepowers, and you're driving it like a Honda. But sometimes we also need to remember that we don't see, like it, like really the big picture from your side. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I remember this happens in a lot of conversations. So COVID did that for you guys, and so can you walk me through the implementation? Like, so you decided, okay, I think we have no choice, but we need to be creative. We have this amazing, marketing cloud tool that, it's so hard to use. So we have to invest money to be able to build these journeys, which is really, really tough because you're already in this uncertain time. Like, first, I want to ask you, how did you get that justified? Like, what was the process that you had to go through?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I just love your analogy that, it's a Ferrari, but we're driving it like a Honda. I feel like we were maybe even driving it like, it didn't even have an engine. So yeah, I think, the way that we kind of work is we have two kind of main types of strategies we have when it comes to fundraising. We've got our appeal campaigns, which is usually around a specific need in the world that we want to raise money to deliver Bibles or whatever it might be overseas. And then we also have nurture journeys, which are really focused around, life stages of our supporters. So a monthly donor or a new contact. So they're the two things that we want to be doing. We're really only doing that first one. We did, it was in 2020 that we set up our monthly donor journey. That was the first, the first journey that we set up that was automated and had a specific goal in mind. And so conversation to get, a project like the one I'm talking about today justified. There's a few things. One of them, like I remember having that conversation about, and I think I did use a similar analogy about Marketing Cloud. It's this beast. It's so powerful if you use it right. And from talking with your team, the amount that we had to invest to even just make a few changes to get it working a little bit better, the amount that we invested would pay off. And so having the conversations, looking at where we wanted to go, we had a bit of an idea that we wanted to focus more on those nurture journeys, but we knew that we couldn't kind of do that alone. So there was, understanding from management that we did need to invest a little bit to have this tool working a little bit better for us to help us reach, where we want to go with those nurture journeys. So, and I had a great conversation. It was last year at the Salesforce World Tour. I met up with from your team, and I kind of shared, this is where we're at. And 4 years ago when we first implemented Marketing Cloud. And he just suggested some really great ways that we could set up something that would really work and that would, it's a great idea. So we wanted to have a journey that would also segment based off those life stages. So we would have, a specific need in the world that we wanted to raise money for, and we'd have a different experience for people who are monthly donors versus lapsing donors or versus people who've never given before. So just getting that info from him around what you could provide for us as well as our strategies, pushed it across the line for our team. So Was
there anyone else who joined you at World Tour, or was it something that inspired you and really, made that fire, put that fire in your belly, and you had to translate that to management? Or is that what happened, or management were with you as well at the World Tour?
I'm someone who loves the kind of in-person experience of World Tour. And then meeting with Paul, and you're hearing about all these great things at World Tour initiatives organizations across the board are doing. Like, even though I heard things that were from for-profits and, huge businesses, there were elements there that I thought, oh, we could probably utilize this in a different way for our organization.
Yes.
And then meeting with Paul, I then took all that information and presented it to our management team who, our management is really supportive of, if we come up with ideas and we've got good reasoning behind it, they're really happy to let us run with it. So, yeah.
It's very timely you mentioned that world tour is upon us again. So it's really an incredible time to be inspired and to learn and see what's possible, right? And the lift in terms of organization. Like sometimes it's again counterintuitive because you have to fly there, you spend the whole day there, and you feel like, oh, I'm wasting my time. But it's really important. So guys, if you're watching, don't hesitate to attend world tour. Yeah. So Emma, how was the implementation like? So now, okay, you got the approval, you've decided, right? You're excited about this amazing journey. How was the implementation like for you?
I mean, it was great. Like we, as soon as we signed off, we had regular meetings with your team. And at the very start, we had Tess from your team who has a wealth of experience in the nonprofit space. She joined in and helped us to figure out what the project could look like. I really appreciated, we had weekly meetings with your team where we looked at where everything was up to in the project. We looked at if there was any kind of risks or anything that would be causing the project to halt or to pivot. And it was honestly just so helpful because we identified very quickly that we wanted the project and the journey to go live very quickly. And so your team helped us to figure out, let's, rather than making one long email journey, let's make 3 smaller ones so that we can get something live quickly. We can start learning from that as we build the other ones. The process was great. Your team, just incredibly lovely people that we worked with, and I was, a little bit sad when it finished because I wouldn't be speaking to these people.
That's so beautiful. That's so amazing. But what was driving the short turnaround time? Was that just an internal pressure or was it a specific timeline that you guys were really like raising funds for?
Yeah, so the journey was for our end of financial year campaign, and we had reached out to you guys, must have been March, April. I think we started in April, so it must have been March that we reached out. So it was a very short turnaround to get something that we wanted up and running in May to run for May, June. It was just a very short turnaround for you guys to build something. So, but we needed to have it up for end of financial year. Although our organization isn't tax deductible, it's still a big time. The every other not-for-profit is fundraising, and so that's kind of what all our supporters are thinking about. So it was a key time for us.
It's important, it's always, I actually like it when customers are saying that we need this done right now, because I'm like, great, let's make that happen. Because sometimes when you don't have that deadline, it's easy for you to be able to just deprioritize it. And I love that, there was that guidance to you to break it up, because it's so easy to get caught up like, oh, this is what I want, and then you start this entire project and then nothing goes live, right? You want to be able to really extract and get value from the low-hanging fruit and slowly build that all up. So that's amazing. But I'm sure you're so gracious, and thank you. I appreciate that you enjoyed working with the team. I'm sure they could say all these amazing things about you as well. And I hear that from my team. They get sad that the project gets is done, but we will always work together. There's always something we can do amazing things together. But I'm sure there are challenges. Can you share the challenges that you've experienced?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones was just the decision to invest in something like this, because we know that any money that we're spending on something like this isn't going to the field. It isn't going to those amazing projects that we're doing in the field. And such a little amount of money goes a long way over there. So the decision to invest was a challenge, and coming up with a reasoning behind why spending X amount of money on something like Marketing Cloud is a worthwhile investment rather than sending that money to the field. So that was a challenge. But then I mean, you know, we definitely saw that pay off, and our reasoning was behind that. Yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge. And I guess the other thing is just, you know, the short turnaround time, and also our time as well. Like, you know, that we need to invest our strategy thinking before we get you guys to build anything, and before we get your advice, we need to know what we want. Exactly. So that was a bit of a challenge to get that happening before we reached out to you guys. So they're probably the two biggest challenges.
That's so critical, because that's when projects go in different directions, when you're not clear in terms of what you want. And obviously, because you guys are our customers, we always want to honor in terms of the direction that you want and get the best outcome. But that's when the deadlines go, get missed, the budget goes higher, and also the motivation, like that's when it kind of like becomes a little bit, you lose the momentum. So it's amazing that you have that foresight, that you gotta know what you want exactly, right? You gotta be decisive so that you can guide us better. That's when you really get the best from us. And I'm glad that, those were the only two challenges. I just want to talk about the first one, because it's so interesting that it's so easy to think that when, this is meant to be for the people, right? And I want all NFP to think that way, because you guys are getting money from donors because people are expecting that you're actually giving it to the people who needs it, right? They believe in your mission. They want you to help those people in the cause that you promise to change their lives, right? But there has to be a shift in thinking that you're not taking it away from them when you put them here. This is really something that is to enable you more to help more people, not taking it away from them. So I guess this is a good segue. Have you seen results from these incredible journeys?
Yeah, we really have. And I think it's just, just going back to that analogy, we can't have the Ferrari sitting there like a Honda. It's almost a disservice to, the funds that we have, to have it sitting there and not being utilized to its potential, and the results we saw from the campaign were amazing. So it was an 8-week journey, and we segmented by our different the segments that we had defined at the time, and we had different frequencies that we would give different segments. So our monthly donors wouldn't get as many emails as, say, someone who's lapsing or someone who's never given before. And we also tested send dates and send times as well. And it was great. We saw there was 3.5 times more donations than the next best.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
Honestly, it was so, we were just so thankful, because we had seen that, income from our emails was dropping quite significantly before we reached out to you guys. And so to see that boost back up and see that, the money that we had invested was working, it just helped us to reassess what we're doing with Marketing Cloud. It ended up being a campaign of 2022.
Can we just pause for a bit? So 3.5x. You said that so lightly, but I'm just blown away by that number. And I'm so, can I just say I'm so proud of you in terms of driving this incredible, project, right? You really took a leap and, stuck your neck out. That's what's important. Sometimes in order for you to achieve all these amazing results, you need to stick your neck out and take the risks, right? That's where you see the rewards. But then what's amazing is that that's automated. That's just gonna keep going, right?
That's right. And like it's a journey that we can utilize again and again. Like the way that your team built it was so that we could use it again and again. And we've got plans for that, which is great. So the other thing was, we had a 200% conversion rate compared to the previous campaign.
That's awesome.
And then something that, one of the things that our team measures as one of our 4 strategic goals is engagement rate. We're figuring out how we actually measure that across all of our different teams and different channels. But from this campaign, we saw that our emails had a very consistent over 30% open rate. And we've maintained that almost, except for a handful of emails throughout the time since then. And
That's
so
incredible, because that's
like
way above industry standard, right? Way above industry standard for open rates. Yeah.
yeah, so we were just so happy that we're putting content out there and people are engaging with it. So for us, even though that wasn't a financial action that was taken, it's a metric that we're really interested in measuring. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Because that's where you see that there is you have to be relevant. You got to give people the content that they want, rather than just being it's just spamming people. And that's really where you see the community grows as well. It means that you're getting to know what they want and you're listening to what they want, and that's why you're seeing that. It's really the whole aspect of personalization. And honestly, that's what CRM is all about, right? To enrich that relationship that you have. So it's good that you're able to measure that. But Emma, is it safe for me to is it fair to assume that 3x, does that mean that you have 3x more impact to your community group in terms of, I guess, volume, or how do you guys quantify that?
yeah. I mean, it's such a great question, because although it's 3 times, as like donations,
Yes.
that converts to, food or shelter in the field. So we're giving 3.5 times more impact to people that we're supporting in the field, which is really exciting for us, because that's why we exist. We don't exist to make money, we exist to support the people that we support. So it's really exciting for us to see, we get excited by the numbers, but then you convert those numbers to specific projects or, people I've met, and I think, wow, this is what we're doing. This is what we're helping to enable. And it's all through the generosity of our supporters. They're the ones responding, and, we're just the middleman, the facilitator to help them, do the things that they want to do in the field and support the people they want to support.
That's just so beautiful. And by the way, you say this is what your organization is all about, like providing shelter to people, providing food to the hungry people. Like, this is what humanity is all about, right? Being able to help people who are dying of hunger and not having a shelter. Like, I'm just blown away. Honestly, I'm just blown away for us to be able to see the work that we do. Like, we're talking about technology, we're talking about sending emails, right? But here we are. That's translating to actual human value, right? That's creating an impact in the world. Do you feel that? Do your team members still see that? Like, I hope so.
I feel like, I mean, maybe more the longer I'm in this role and the more I'm exposed to, both the tech and what I do day to day, but also what I see in the field. I mean, with the Syrian earthquakes recently, we have local partners, working on the ground, responding, within hours of the earthquake. And what we have across, the region in the Middle East is what we call centers of hope, which is basically a safe place for anyone to come and have food, have community, have warmth. It's the middle of winter over in the Middle East right now. And usually those centers of hope are local churches. And so, like we're hearing about these churches opening their doors and inviting everyone in to get a meal, because, they can't get food because of the earthquake. Wow. And when, we heard about this, we responded, we sent out an email. Our, Open Doors' local partners had asked for a specific fundraising target to be able to respond immediately to the needs of the people. And we sent an email out, and that email alone reached the target that Open Doors local partners was asking for, which was amazing. And that's, just me doing my day to day. You kind of see, wow, it's having an impact.
Yes, and I bet, like, your soul is so enriched, because the work that you did really mattered in creating an impact. It's not just about getting more money, I mean, obviously businesses are important because it's a good platform to help other people as well, but this is so direct. And, I'm just amazed that we get to be part of that, Emma. And I'm grateful that you're able to share that piece of mission to us and our team, and you're able to share this incredible story. Can you share the biggest lessons that you learned, like not just with this specific campaign, but I guess your journey in terms of digital transformation, your sales force, and, really your role?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a great question. I think coming back to that strategy piece is really important. I think we're learning that. Even last year when we reached out to you guys about the project that we did, we didn't fully set out the strategy for that. And so we're learning that it's really important to figure out what are we trying to do and how do we want to do that before kind of starting the work. Sometimes it's easier to just get into work mode and just do things, but setting time aside to actually figure out what's the best way to do this and what do we want to achieve is so important. I think the other thing is just with a product like Marketing Cloud and with Salesforce, there's such great online learning tools and videos, forums, there's everything. And so having just a posture of learning towards Marketing Cloud has been so helpful, because there is a lot to it. It is a beast of a program, and I'm not an expert. I would love to know more. And so being able to go and do trailheads and watch videos, and Salesforce would sometimes hold workshops, and you go and get really practical learning experience. I think just learning the program as best you can is so helpful, because then you can know like what it does, which helps you work out, outwork your strategy. And then I think the other thing is just, with a product like Marketing Cloud, although you have knowledge, reaching out to experts like yourselves to do projects that, we invested a small amount for a very specific thing, and that helped us greatly. So figuring out, within your nonprofit budget, what are the things that you want to invest in, and getting experts to help you outwork those things has been really great.
And that's really how you maximize the use of the platform. Also, because when you do this, it's like it's there, it's going to keep doing the hard work over and over again without stopping, and there's no limit. Like, you can create as many nurturing journeys, and the only limit is really your creativity and your imagination, right, in terms of the results that it can provide for you. I've got one more question. What is next for you guys? What are you working on next?
So excited.
So excited to hear too.
We're going to build off the journey that we created last year. So taking on the lessons that we learned from that, we're going to focus on our strategy, and particularly defining our key segments. We want to get a really unified view and criteria for each of those segments across our team, so that marketing and our partnerships and our supporter engagement team are all aligned on how we define a major donor and how we define a monthly donor. So getting that criteria set up, and then working with you guys to figure out how to actually make that function in Marketing Cloud and in Sales Cloud, so that our partnerships and our supporter engagement teams have an understanding of what our supporters are getting through Marketing Cloud. So that's one area that we're looking at. And we're also looking at, within Marketing Cloud, how we can have more customized asks specific to who our segments are. So if we can create like a panel that has, we want to ask for a 10% increase on their last gift, or we want to identify that they're a major donor and, put in their partner, relationship manager's name and email there. Just having something that's dynamic that we can utilize again and again, so we're working with you in the early stages now to see what that looks like, and we'll implement that for the journey for our end of financial year this year too.
So exciting. Great things ahead. Great things ahead. So Emma, I want to thank you, first of all, with what you guys are doing for all the Christians. I'm from the Philippines. We're a Christian nation, and you're doing amazing work globally, and not just for Christians, but those people who really need it, right? Thank you for your courage in terms of, again, taking the risks and learning, right? Learning something that is so new to you. And again, thank you for sharing your story here. I'm so inspired. Like, this is the reason why we exist as a business. We want to hear these kind of stories. And this is really what makes me want to keep working harder. This is the essence of why we do the work that we do. I'm so grateful that you're here to share this story. Can you maybe encourage people? Like, I want this to be a platform. I hope everyone who's listening to this are inspired to really like donate, because you're really like out there helping people. Do you want to maybe just encourage people?
Thank you, Pauline. That's so kind. Yeah, I mean, we love working with you as well. And yeah, I mean, the current need at the moment really is the earthquake. There's so much devastation, and we are working through Centers of Hope across the Middle East to support people, opening up doors, and $45 gives an emergency aid pack, essentially. So food, shelter, warmth, giving that to people who really need it because they don't have somewhere to sleep, they don't have food to eat. So if anyone would like to, maybe we can put a link in the chat or somewhere.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Emma Rogers from Open Doors. If you have any questions for her, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Or if you have comments and anything that inspired you, we would love to hear it. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed and got inspired from our session. Bye.
Bye.